Next.js 16 beta is now available. This release provides access to the latest improvements to Turbo Pack caching and the Next.js architecture ahead of the stable release. Highlights of this release include Turbo Pack stable default bundler for all apps with up to 5 to 10x faster fast refresh and 2 to 5x faster builds. Turbo Pack file system caching beta even faster app startup and compile times for the largest app. React compiler supports stable built-in integration for automatic memoization. Build adapters API alpha create custom adapters to modify the build process. Enhanced routing, optimized navigation and prefetching with layout deduplication and incremental prefetching. Improved caching APIs, new update tag and refined revalidate tag. React 19.2 view transition use effect event activity breaking changes async params next image defaults and more. We encourage you to try the beta and share your feedback. Your testing help us identify issues and improve Next.js before the stable release. Please report any bugs or issues you encountered on GitHub. So Turbo Pack has reached stability for both development and production build and is now the default bundler for all our Next.js projects. Since its beta release earlier this summer, adoption has scaled rapidly. More than 50% of development session and 20% production builds on Next.js 15.3 are already running on Turbo Pack. With Turbo Pack, you can expect 2 to 5x faster production build, up to 10x fast refresh. We are making Turbo Pack the default to bring this performance gain to every Next.js developer. No configuration required for apps with custom Webpack setups. You can continue using Webpack by running Turbo Pack file system caching beta. Turbo Pack now supports file system caching in development, storing compiler artifacts on disk between runs for significantly faster compile time across restarts, especially in large project. Enable file system caching in your configuration. All internal Vercel apps are already using this feature, and we have seen notable improvements in developer productivity across large repositories. We would love to hear your feedback as we iterate on file system caching. Please try it out and share your experience. Create Next app has been redesigned with a simplified setup flow, updated project structure and improved defaults. The new template includes the app router by default, TypeScript configuration, Tailwind CSS and ESLint. Following the build adapters RFC, we worked with the community and deployment platforms to deliver the first alpha version of the build adapters API. Build adapters allow you to create custom adapters that hook into the build process, enabling development, deployment platforms and custom build integration to modify Next.js configuration or process build output. Built-in support for React compiler is now stable in Next.js 16 following the React compiler 7.0 release. The React compiler automatically memoizes components, reducing unnecessary re-renders with zero manual code changes. The React compiler configuration option has been promoted from experimental to stable. It is not enabled by default as we continue gathering build performance data across different application types. Expect compile times in development and during builds to be higher when enabling this option, as the React compiler relies on Babel. Install the latest version of the React compiler plugin. Enhanced routing and navigation. Next.js 16 includes a complete overhaul of the routing and navigation system, making page transition leaner and faster. Layout deduplication. When prefetching multiple URLs with a shared layout, the layout is downloaded once instead of separately for each link. For example, a page with 50 product link now downloads the shared layout once instead of 50 times, dramatically reducing the network transfer size. Incremental prefetching. Next.js only prefetches parts not already in cache rather than the entire page. The prefetch cache now cancels request when the link leaves the viewport, prioritizes link prefetching on hover or when re-entering the viewport, re-prefetches links when their data is invalidated. Works seamlessly with upcoming features like cache components. Trade-off: you may see more individual prefetch requests but with much lower total transfer size. We believe this is the right trade-off for nearly all applications. If the increased request count causes issue, please let us know. We are working on additional optimization to inline data chunks more efficiently. These changes require no code modification and are designed to improve performance across all apps. PPR and cache component. Next.js 16 removes the experimental partial pre-rendering flag and configuration option. Partial pre-rendering is been integrated into cache components. Starting with Next.js 16, you can opt into PPR using the experimental cache component configuration. There are differences in the implementation, and cache components bring additional features and behaviors that will be documented and announced ahead of Next.js Conf and Next.js 16 stable release. Next.js 16 introduces refined caching APIs for more explicit control over cache behavior. A revalidate tag now requires a cache life profile as the second argument to enable stale while revalidate behavior. The profile argument accepts built-in cache life profile names like max, hours, days, or custom profile defined in your next.config. You can also pass an inline revalidate number object. We recommend using max for most cases as it enables background revalidation for long-lived content. When user request tag content, they receive cache data immediately, while Next.js revalidates in the background. Using revalidate tag when you want to invalidate only properly tagged cached entries with stale while revalidate behavior. This is ideal for static content that can tolerate eventual consistency. Update tag is a new server actions only API that provides read your write semantics, expiring and immediately refreshing cache data with the same request. This ensures interactive features reflect changes immediately, perfect for forms, user settings, and any workflow where user expect to see their updates instantly. Refresh is a new server action only API for refreshing uncached data only. It doesn't touch the cache at all. This API is complementary to the client-side router.refresh. Use it when you need to refresh uncached data displayed elsewhere on the page after performing an action. Your cached page shells and static contents remain fast, while dynamic data like notification count, live metrics, or status indicators refresh. The app router in Next.js 16 uses the latest React Canary release, which includes the newly released React 19.2 features and other features being incrementally stabilized. Highlights include view transition, animate elements that update in a transition or navigation, use effect event, extract non-reactive logic from effects into reusable effect event functions, activity render background activity by hiding UI with display none while maintaining state and cleaning up effects. Breaking changes, Node.js 20.9 minimum version now 20.9, Node.js 18 no longer supported, TypeScript 5 plus minimum version now is 5.1.0, browsers Chrome 111 plus, Edge, Firefox 111 plus, Safari 6.4 plus. These features were previously deprecated and are now removed. Next lint command, AMP support, dev indicators option, server runtime config, public runtime config, experimental.turbopack location, experimental.dynamic IO flag, experimental.ppr flag, export const experimental underscore ppr, automatic scroll behavior :smooth, unstable root params, sync params, search params, prop access, sync cookies, headers, draft mode access, metadata image route params argument, next image local src with query string. Behavior changes. These features have now default behavior in Next.js 16. Default bundler turbopack is now the default bundler. Images.minimum cache TTL default changed from 60 seconds to 4 hours. Images.images size default removed 16 from default sizes. Images.quality default changed from 1 to 100 to 75. Images.dangerously allow local IP, new security restriction block local IP optimization by default. Images.maximum redirects default. Pre-cache behavior, Babel configuration, terminal output, dev and build output directories, log file, parallel routes, and modern SaaS API. Deprecated. These features are deprecated and will be removed. Middleware.ts file renamed to proxy.ts to clarify network boundary. Next legacy image component, use next image instead. Image.domains config, use image.remote patterns. Revalidate tag, use revalidate tag profiles. Additional improvements, performance improvement, significant performance optimization for Next Dev and Next Start, Node.js native TypeScript for Next config TS. So these are all the people who have contributed to Next.js 16. Thank you for watching. Bye.